And a pipeline like this one can use some research. Currently, there are 800 spaces for open enrollment this fall. While DAPSEP started in Detroit, it's now offering classes all across the state. The price ranges from $25 to $100, depending on the program and the age of the student. But they also offer financial aid.
We want to make sure that every student has access to these learning opportunities.
As for the teachers, most of them are students who went through the DAPSEP program themselves and wanted to give back because they believe in the program. You could find more on how to enroll your child at dapsep.org. We'll have a link at fox2detroit.com. For MoneyWorks, I'm Dave Spencer.
The Edge at 11 starts now.
Tonight on The Edge, a Detroit mom gets a pretty unpleasant surprise in her own backyard when she finds a couple getting down and dirty, caught on graphic video.
Well, Fox News' Jessica Dubnak has this story that you'll only see here on The Edge, and we want to warn you, it is definitely not suitable for all audiences.
It went down literally in Malaya Mills' yard. She says a sex worker and her customer pulled in. He pulled out for her and her kids to see it all.
I just literally had my son party here 2 weekends ago. You could see probably the balloons. I just literally had a party over here.
From blowing balloons to a very different kind of party.
Why is y'all doing this on my property? I walk right up and they just look as scared to see me as I should be scared to see them. Like,
He got out of here so fast.
Yes. I got kids and everything.
Just as Malaya Mills was getting her 7-year-old to school Tuesday morning, an SUV pulled into her yard. Inside, a couple rounding the bases. This mom was about to put an end to the so-called car date.
Feel like they can do something on my property.
What do you say to these people if they were watching?
Y'all disgusting. Like, honestly, like, y'all could have found somewhere else.
Even a daycare with an eye shot of the car date. Malaya lives near Schoolcraft and Wyoming and says this area on the east side is known for sex workers.
They were trying to clean it up, the activity around here, and then when they had caught the commissioner getting the same thing happened to him in the car. They caught him a couple of blocks around. It was about 2 years ago.
I covered that story.
Yes, you did.
Yep, I remember.
Yes, you did. Yep, about 2 years ago.
Remember that one? Former Detroit Police Commissioner Brian Ferguson caught in the act. He called it all a misunderstanding. I'm sure the same goes for this guy.
People go to ducked off spots and things like that, but not here.
There's plenty of hotels around, right?
Yes.
Just not your yard.
Not my yard.
Malaya took that video in part for police. She plans to file a report this week. Jessica Dubnak on The Edge.
Jimmy Kimmel fans won't be able to watch his talk show tonight after he was suspended for his comments about Charlie Kirk's killing. Kimmel suggested that the alleged assassin may have been a pro-Trump Republican. During Monday night's monologue, Kimmel said, quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as another one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving." The controversial comments didn't sit well with FCC Chair Brendan Carr, who threatened to revoke ABC affiliate licenses.
So the network's main affiliate, Nexstar Media, said it's pulling the show off the air. The president of Nexstar's broadcasting division, Andrew Alford, saying tonight, quote, "Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located," end quote. ABC says they are suspending the Jimmy Kimmel live show indefinitely and replacing it with different programming. No word yet on when or if the show will be returning.
My one message to Gretchen Whitmer is, look, the city of Detroit we know has got some serious crime problems, and we know that it's the people in Detroit who suffer the most when crime is allowed to run rampant all over city streets. Gretchen, we are happy to send the National Guard to Detroit, Michigan. All you got to do is ask.
Vice President J.D. Vance pitching his safety plan to Governor Gretchen Whitmer as he rallied around hundreds of supporters in Howell. It's part of President Trump's national push to crack down on crime, but some local leaders say they don't need help from the White House.
Now, Fox News' Dave Kitchen is live now on the west side here with more reaction. And tonight, have you heard anything back from the governor's office, Dave?
You know, we really haven't. We reached out to the governor's office, and maybe not hearing back or a little bit of silence is an indication of the state administration's message. They're leaving it up to Detroit, and I can tell you there's a lot of Detroit city officials, police officials, the top brass, and, of course, community activists. The partners police say they can't do this work without. They all really say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. We have a strategy, really two strategies they're employing to reduce violence, and they're going to stick by that. This is video of some of those remarks you heard earlier with the vice president, who was in Howell talking about tax policy and tax cuts for business and also working families. Now, after President Trump federalized local police in Washington, D.C. and deployed the National Guard there, the administration says Memphis is definitely next, and possibly Chicago. Vice President Vance said there that Detroit is still a prospect as well. As you just heard tonight, we spoke with Matthew J. Schneider, Trump's U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan during his first term. He says using the military is not an unusual move.
This is not really all that different from what we already did in the first Trump administration with Memphis and Detroit and other cities, where you take federal law enforcement, you combine them with local and state law enforcement, and you all work together to fight crime. The difference here is that added little connection with the National Guard, which is very significant for a lot of reasons. But other than that, you have a lot of people cooperating.
Now, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan hitting back at the vice president's comments using numbers. He says in a statement, in 2024, Detroit's law enforcement strategy produced record declines and resulted in the fewest homicides, shootings, and carjackings since 1965. In 2025, so far this year, Detroit is right now experiencing a further 15% drop in homicides, 25% drop in shootings, and 30% drop in carjackings, all record lows. The current partnership between federal, state, county, and private violence reduction groups is achieving record reductions, and it would be a serious mistake to abandon this successful strategy. Now, the former U.S. attorney said there are some distinctions here. Who you just heard from there, the former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan says that in California, when President Trump actually sent in the National Guard, he did so using Title 10, declaring a rebellion in California when the military went in dealing with the ICE enforcement efforts and really reacting to the major resistance to all of that ICE immigration enforcement activity. The U.S. attorney, former U.S. attorney, says if there is such a move in Michigan, it would be using a different law, Title 32, where troops would be used as backup to local law enforcement. That's if the White House were to make such a move in Michigan. Reporting live, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
But bottom line, the reason why we heard the vice president say that today, because if they asked, then they could bring the National Guard in, no problem. And certainly they want to keep this conversation going, but we still haven't heard back for having our governor respond to this. And, you know, they've had a contentious relations with the Trump administration for quite some time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A little bit of agreement on things like tariffs, but otherwise a very unique and complex relationship there as well. That's true.
All right. We'll see where this goes. Thanks so much, Dave.
Yep.
A historic bar in Dearborn gets a high-profile customer.
Jimmy Fallon stopped by Miller's Bar when he actually brought The Tonight Show to town last weekend. Fox News' Lauren Edwards joins us live with more on Fallon's visit. And Lauren, I have to ask you, he talked about it again on Tuesday night on his show. Are they seeing a bump in business because of this?
Absolutely, they have. We were out there just talking with them, and they have so much to say about him. You know, of course, he was at the Detroit Opera House behind me. The poster still up right next to the door. So if you need to come get a picture, come and get that. But before he was here, he was all the way out in Dearborn at Miller's Bar, and they have so much to say. Look at some of these photos that they were able to share with us, because he definitely just made the most of his time there. Jimmy Fallon, the funny man, known for his late night laughs, snapping pics. pics with folks over at Miller's Bar on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn, creating such lasting memories. And we spoke with the staff who says when they got the phone call Saturday afternoon or evening, they couldn't remember. The person said on the other end of the line was that Jimmy Fallon himself will be stopping by in 30 minutes. And so 30 minutes came and went. They waited and waited, and then he walked through the door, mixed and mingled with everyone, he says. And while there, he ordered a cheeseburger melt, or patty melt, they called it, a burger not on buns, but on sliced bread, and saying on social media it's one of the best burgers he's ever had. It also came with pickles in a bag, and staff says that he's a patron they will never forget, and so glad that he made Miller's a part of his Detroit plans.
It's funny, I keep asking myself that almost, but it truly is a Metro Detroit staple. We are known for having, you know, one of the best burgers in Metro Detroit, and it is so true. We've been around since 1941 for a reason. So he heard about it and he had to come try it out for himself, and he loved it.
It's been a whirlwind. Okay, I mean, phone calls, people coming in, people blowing up my phone. It's just been absolutely crazy, but that's what happens when you get a powerful influence like a Jimmy Fallon, who people trust what he has to say.
And so there you go. It totally answers the question just about like how this has been all for him. Again, the response so great. People coming in just wanting to know what he had, just wanting to be exactly where he was. And again, they're not strangers to celebrities. They've had presidents and other just famous people walk through the doors, but Jimmy Fallon is one they will not soon forget. Reporting in downtown Detroit, Lauren Edwards on The Edge.
All right, so we know that Jimmy Fallon likes it. Does Lauren Edwards love the burger? What do you think?
It was very good. You know I had to eat one. I am a hungry hippo, and I will eat anything and everything, and that is by far one of the best burgers I have ever had.
Any one of us would have eaten everything in sight at that place. It looked delicious, and I wonder, I have questions for you about the fries and other things. We'll talk more. I could just go. Actually, I could go do it myself. All right, Lauren Edwards for us live tonight with a fun story tonight. Thank you.
A gruesome discovery in a singer's car sparking a murder investigation. What tipped off police to the search in this trunk? Next on The Edge. Rich?
It's another quiet night for us, Taryn. A lot of us have numbers in the mid-60s to upper 50s, but it's quiet. That's the operative word. Down to 58 on average. And here's a peek at the next couple days. 84 tomorrow. Not quite as warm Friday and Saturday. We'll show you the full weekend forecast after the break.